are listening to the All Metal Mode podcast with your host, Mike Hare. Join me and Gypsy Jules every Monday night and Matt Hoffman and myself every Tuesday night. Listen in as we discuss a wide range of metal detecting and related topics such as technical, equipment, talk to guests, and so much more. Sit back, join in on the drinking game. For those new to the show, every time I say relic machine, you need to do a shot. These are the rules, I didn't make them up. We hope you enjoy this episode of All Metal Mode. Hey everybody, this is Mike and you're listening to the All Metal Mode podcast. And boy, are we off on a rocky start. We're starting almost 10 minutes late, which is never fun. Skype crashed right when we were getting ready to go on air just a few minutes before. Couldn't get it working. Had to remove it and re-download it, and it was a hot mess. So before we get started, check out Simply Steel Designs on Facebook. I talked to Bruce. Order a sign through the end of the month and get 100% discount. Yes, that's right, 100% discount. Tell him Mike said so. They make some really cool signs. He's going to make up some metal detecting signs for me soon. He made my brother an 8-foot Sasquatch to put in the woods. They do some really cool stuff. They also do some really neat layered signs. They can layer them. They've made some really cool business signs and stuff as well. So yeah, give them a call. Only a few days left of Garrett's sale. Right now until the end of the month, I'm not sure which day it ends exactly. Buy an AT Max and get a free Z-Link pinpointer. That's huge. If you've thought about buying one in the market, do it. Now's the time. If you're interested in talking to me about it, you can reach me at 937-414-4578 or our Facebook page, Digger's Den Metal Detecting. We get right back to you, and then you've got Brian and I both, and we'll hook you up. So there you have it. Matt, what are you up to, buddy?
Oh, not a whole lot tonight, but nice, relatively cool evening, and feels good outside. Just looking forward to doing some detecting, hopefully this coming weekend, and yeah,
nice.
All good stuff.
Yeah, we're supposed to be in the 70s tomorrow, actually. It was almost 90 today, so that'll be nice.
Yeah, we've had some rain the past day or so, almost most of today and yesterday, so but the ground's been loosened up real nice, and it's nice to get out spots that generally are very dried out all summer, and found some silver last weekend, and it was a good weekend.
I hope we're recording. Yeah, I'm not sure. At least we can hear each other. Hey, we might just be talking to ourselves tonight. Nobody's in chat because I'm sure they're like, oh, it's almost 10 after. I guess they're not doing a podcast tonight. God, I hate the issues we've been every single time, man. It's just been for the last month or so. Skype has just been.
Yeah, things were good till they switched that up, and then you've had nothing but problems.
Nothing but trouble. So, Steph texted me, they can hear us, so good deal. Yeah, what a real pain, man. That was no fun at all. Skype completely, when I closed it, after I couldn't hear you and stuff, I went to redo it, and Skype was just on my desktop as like a little white thing. It just said Skype, like the logo, and I'm like, oh man, I couldn't get it to work, so I just had to re-download Skype, and luckily that didn't take too long. But heck, that was 5 minutes after 8, So what a pain. Yeah, I don't
Well,
think
I know
anybody's gonna.
I use Skype at work, and I tell you, we generally have a lot of issues with with Skype, and I don't know why, but it seems to have its fair share of issues lately. So
Yeah, it does. And that new download has just been wreaked havoc. And then yesterday I went back to the old. I tried to go to the last version, and it worked, but I still couldn't take calls. And matter of fact, if somebody called in, it cut off who I had on the phone. It was weird. So I don't know. I wish they'd quit messing with stuff. I don't know why they do that kind of stuff,
yeah,
Always gotta be messing with
technology is great
So
when it works.
right. Tonight we're going to talk about some different things. If you got questions, put them in the chat. We still can't take calls. I don't know if that's ever going to happen again, to be honest with you. But if you got questions, metal detecting questions for us, put them in the chat and we'll answer them. Tonight I kind of wanted to talk something that's been going on a lot for me anyhow, that I've been getting a lot of discussions, is about Makro and Nokta at Detectival. And I'd like to talk about that. So everybody knows in the last year anyhow, I'm not sure when they released it, Makro Nokta released the multi-cruiser, the cruiser, and the gold cruiser. And I understand that's been within the last year. Well, then at Detectival, they released the Amphibio, and they announced that they're working on multiple frequency running simultaneously, and they're wanting people's input and all that. And if you name it, you get a free detector. You get a detector, and I think that's really cool. And I just think that's really neat. But and then the simplex, that I don't know if you haven't seen the simplex, I'm telling you, if that thing works as half as good as it looks, that thing's going to be killer. And we're talking like the $200 to $350 range, like $250 to $350. There's going to be two different options. I think that's really cool. But what's been happening, I make it known that I'm a huge fan of Makro Nokta. And I'm guessing that's why a lot of people have reached out to me. But there are people that are just pissed that Makro and Nokta is doing this. And, I just got, what I'm hearing is, I just got a multi-cruiser, and now they're coming out with this other detector, this Amphibio, and they're putting too much out, and, everything else. Look, for years, everybody's complained about the manufacturers not coming out with new technology, relabeling the same detectors and putting them out, going years without anything really new or a couple updates. And it surprises me that so many people are upset. Look, it's not going to make your multi-cruiser obsolete. It's not going to make any detector obsolete. I don't know why people are losing their minds over this. Several people have made comments to me about it. And I just don't get that. We finally got a company that, one, is listening to us. Number two, they're pumping out some technology and some detectors. And, now I see people upset. Some of these same people that have, I've heard over the years talk about they're tired of the companies, relabeling and not coming out with anything new. And I'm really surprised by it, to be honest with you. Will I get rid of my multi-cruiser? No. Do I feel like that thing's obsolete? No. Scott Dubé's in our chat right now. Ask him about how he's been, what kind of luck he's had with his. So I don't understand why people were going crazy about it. You don't have, I mean, if you can't afford one, that's okay. I can't either. But it doesn't make what we have obsolete. It just doesn't. It's a good thing. Them releasing, let's say you're not a fan of Makro Nokta and you don't care. You should, because I guarantee you these other manufacturers are taking notice. They are quickly gaining ground here in the United States. They're getting known, and these other manufacturers are going to have to step up, and they know that. So it's going to bring new technology and from the other manufacturers. It puts them. If you got a company who has no competition, they'll get lazy if they can. It happens. Makro Nokta, I think, is stepping up to the plate. They're eager. They want to break in all over the world, and they're doing a really good job of it. And I think it's a good thing. What's your take on it, Matt?
It always interests me when I see people or complain about something like that, because you hear people all the time saying, "Oh, nobody's really putting out anything new. They just got the same old stuff and this and that." And okay, so you had the Impact out, and you have the Racer 2, but you got the Impact, and then you went to the Cruiser. Now with the Cruiser being waterproof, genius. So that just really encompasses a bigger customer base. And then I'm sure the Amphibio, and I don't know the full details and specs on that machine, as I've only seen a quick brochure on it, but I'm sure it has some different things to offer, that may be geared more towards people doing, more water hunting than, just a standard, just something that's waterproof maybe. So, I guess what I'm saying is, I would not be upset by that one bit. We both know the Cruiser's a great machine. It seems to perform really well. Especially with their iron audio features on that, that's amazing. So, and so I think for them, they're just spreading the array of options and product that they could offer. I mean, and they're all in you hit different price ranges too. So, let's say that, I don't know, let's say that the Amphibio's, $900 or $1,000. Okay. Well, you take a Cruiser, it's $600-700. That could be a huge difference for people, and may fit a price range that they're willing to spend on a detector. Where if you just have one of those, maybe they go a different direction because, the other one could be out of the price range, or, maybe it doesn't offer what they were looking for. So yeah, I'm all for any company putting out as much variety as they can.
Now,
as long as it's quality material, and that's what they seem to be doing.
Yeah. And I'll say this, I could see if they released the multi-cruiser and everybody went out and bought one. Okay, let me step this back a little bit. I think that you'll find the multi-cruiser and the Amphibio are very similar in ways. And okay, the Impact and the Racer 2 are similar. Okay? Now the Impact has a lot more options and stuff, but I think pretty much what happened is the multi-cruiser is like the Racer 2 but waterproof, which is huge, and you know, wireless headphones and all that stuff. That's great. Um, the Amphibio is more like the Impact, waterproof, a waterproof Impact. So I think if I could see being upset if they said, okay, here's the Amphibio at $900, and everybody ran out and bought an Amphibio, and then they said, hey, here's a real similar detector, but now it's $700, or whatever. So, but they're releasing something that's going to be more expensive. I just don't see the issue.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree with that too. If they would have come out and said, here's the Amphibio, it's this price, and then months later they come out with something that's cheaper that resembles that, then yeah, I could see reason to be upset, but not the other way around, and especially not when it doesn't make, if it was like, okay, here's the multi cruiser, and then 2 months later here's the multi cruiser 2, and it's the same price or cheaper, okay, then you say, wait a minute, now that doesn't make much sense. But I think they're just spreading their product portfolio, and you got to look at it. It's worldwide where they're selling the detectors. It must make sense for them to have come up with the Amphibio. There must be a reason they did it, and and like I said, I'm all for a company, you making their product line diverse, and not every detector is exactly perfect for everybody, that especially when it comes to price. But one thing I do like personally is that they're following a format that format with like the Impact and the Cruiser, and now the Amphibio, like that same type of setup. So like if you were to switch from one to the other, or go to a different machine, your learning curve should be very much shortened, as opposed to, when companies put something out and then they go a completely different direction and it's completely different, and you got to relearn the whole thing over again. So, that's something that I'm a big fan of, to make it easier, if you decide to change machines or get a different one, or, so yeah, I guess all in all, I don't see a reason for people to be truly upset. And they, especially not with that machine being more expensive either. I see no reason for anybody to be upset about that.
No, I don't either. I'm really surprised. I am. I had a guy who's I talked to the other day. He's been detecting a long time. He's a friend of mine, and he's been one of the ones like, when's this company going to come out with something new, and that company and this and that, and then he's just pissed that Makro Nokta announced that, and I just don't quite get it, and so I don't know. It surprises me, but I think for some of those that are upset, you need to kind of rethink that. I think it does the whole community good, even if you don't buy one. The technology that they're pumping out and the quality and everything is incredible, and maybe not yet, but real soon. I guarantee other manufacturers are, but I think you're going to see Makro Nokta grow into something huge here in the United States. I think
for sure.
They're
I mean, any company, Mike, that starts, that's really, putting nice technology out there and just diversifying what they have to offer. Any manufacturer in the U.S. has to take note of that and say, man, we need to sit down and get on the drawing board and see what we can do, because they're going to lose sales, and it'll happen quick.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to. I mean, that's just the way it's going to work. I mean, there's no way around that. And and that's a good thing, because that forces companies to not only stay true to what they're doing and not get lazy, but to be competitive and to really strive to what are they going to do to get your business as opposed to somebody else? How are they going to take more of that market share? And so to me, that's great, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. I kind of suspect the impact will be a little bit deeper, but I don't know. Scott posted earlier. I seen it on Facebook, but he posted it here. He found pulled up a pistol ball in packed soil at 14 inches today. He's running
That's pretty cool.
in the fields. He's running that. What is it? That one setting. I forget what it's called. EUD. Yeah, EUD. The extra underground
Okay.
depth. And I've seen him say it several times. If it's within 18 inches under the coil, I'm going to find it. Man, that's impressive. Now I know I haven't ran it yet. He showed me how he does it. He actually sent me a little video, which was really, really cool, Scott. I appreciate that, how he does it. And it's super easy to go into it. But I'm guessing it's more for fields. I don't think you want a bunch of iron and stuff. I don't think you want an iron, or, you wouldn't use it in a park. But what I'm thinking, like where I could use it when I'm rally hunting in Ohio and you're out away from the heavy iron and stuff, because you always want to swing your coil out and about too. I mean, you want to get out of that iron and go swing, because stuff gets dragged. Stuff could have been dropped 50 yards away, and I found a lot of stuff out there. Out away from what I call ground zero, where all the heavy iron is. So that's where, put it in EUD where you don't get many signals and go deep. There might be some stuff really deep out there. Brian says, imagine if they incorporated more aftermarket coils. I'm not sure. What are you talking about, Brian? Who incorporate more aftermarket coils? Yeah, Scott said double tap the select button. Your mode blinks. EUD is on. It's simple. And if I get back to Ohio like I'm planning here at the end of October, beginning of November, I when I'm out field hunting and I'm out away from that heavy iron debris, that's what I'll do. I'll put it in EUD and see if I can pull any deep targets. Did I lose you? Did you fall asleep?
No. I think that's cool, and I love when you can do quick selections like that too, to jump into different modes, and it's kind of like the AT Pro where you had the iron audio button, or the there's all kinds of stuff where, or like on the E-Track with the quick mask button and stuff like that, and the 30-30. So like any machines where you can do stuff like that, to me, that's awesome, and it makes it really nice, quick, easy, and simple to, especially if you got just a squeaker down there and you just want to pop that on and give it a little more once over before you decide to dig or not dig. And yeah, I like stuff like that. I mean, versus going through, 10 million settings to try and get to turn something on and off. And, so that's definitely cool. That's crazy deep. If he says within 18 inches, if there's some stuff like that down there, that's impressive. Although I will say, man, when that ground stuff, you digging 18 inches, whew, that'll give you a workout if you're digging consistent, super crazy deep stuff like that.
Brian's kind of got me confused here. I'm going to try to. Brian, I'm about ready to call you, man. You better be ready to take a call, because I'm kind of confused on what you're saying. Hold on. Keep talking, Matt.
Yeah, so on a side note, I was out at a park this past weekend, more or less. I don't want to say killing time. I did go do some door knocking. I stopped at an 1870s house and got permission. And though I didn't come across any Indian head pennies, which for some reason I love finding Indian heads. Those get me excited much more than a large cent.
Hang on real quick. If this doesn't work, I'll call you right back in. I don't know what's going to happen.
All right.
We'll see. You're still there. We should be good. Brian, I'm calling you. You better pick up your phone.
Pick up the phone.
I'm kind of curious what he's saying.
But
here.
Basically,
it's Brian.
I think.
You there,
what
Brian?
Doing, man?
There you are. What
you snuck one on me, man. I thought I had a customer on the line. You done put me on the show.
Yep,
that ain't
sure
right,
enough,
man.
So what do you?
Like most other manufacturers have a host of aftermarket coils for different machines. Right now, Makro for the most part, and the Cruiser. You have the three. Well, they have 4 coils, including the concentric.
No, they have 6 total coils.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like if you took like a larger coil, like from VTech or Mars Cores, Nail, then you'd have way more options.
Well, I thought Coors made coils.
They do, but they're not here yet.
Well, that's not a Makro Nokta issue, correct?
I don't know.
I mean, here's my thing on coils. Okay, my thing is most of your manufacturers. I mean, think about it. How many coils are offered for the AT Pro by Garrett?
A lot. Well, not many.
I think only 2, correct?
Yeah, the 5x8, and they have a concentric coil too.
Oh, do they have a? I never knew they had a.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Huh. But here's my point.
I don't know. Just
what I'm going to say is, they offer the 15-inch, 15.5 by. Oh, what is it?
It's as much as I hate to say it, it's probably a dense and more heavier coil. If you take something like a 13-inch D-Tech Ultimate and you throw it on a Makro Cruiser, you can have a pretty sweet setup.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not very knowledgeable when it comes to aftermarket coils, but I generally, in most cases, I would prefer the manufacturer coil anyhow. It's their detector. I want their coil. In most cases, I think you're getting a better coil.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I mean, a lot of these coil manufacturers make the coils for the manufacturers, so they know how to set it up for that machine.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I was amazed that they have 6 coils available from the factory.
Yeah, and I think the Amphibio is going to have 7 coils.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, I don't know. That's not a big deal to me. Just because. But I could have swore that everybody was working on coils for them. Matter of fact, I thought Mars had coils already.
I know they do, but they're not here.
You can't
At least
get them?
they're not at my distributors.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you get to throw in some bigger, lighter coils on them things, and for depth anyway, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I got you. I mean, I've got that. I haven't used it yet because I gotta still wait. I got a field I want to try it out here, but it's out no shade, so it's still been too hot for that. But,
Yeah. Now I love that small coil for the Makro Cruiser. I actually kept that one on there for months before I even put the factory one on.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm looking at now because I thought they were announcing. I thought it was announced months ago that they were making. I mean, they've got them for the racers. I'm surprised they don't have them for.
Yeah.
It's coming. It's coming. I'm sure.
Yeah, it'll come. It'll come. I mean, it's there. It's on the distributor page. It's just not there yet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, it's coming. I don't think that's Makro Nokta though. I would guess. You know, I've thought about this before, and maybe I'm completely wrong, but I would guess most of the manufacturers won't work with the aftermarket coil companies because they want to sell their coils.
Yeah, some of them won't. Look at Mine Lab. I mean, they're pretty much Coiltech specific as far as aftermarket goes, but Coiltech makes all their coils. So
yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, pretty much.
What was you going to say, Matt?
Oh, I'm just laughing about Mine Lab. Yeah, their coils are quite pricey. Yeah, let's just say that.
Mine Lab reminds me of Apple.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want anybody else in their game. I agree. Yeah, that's one of the things that turns me off about the Equinox. I think that's a real shame that they won't share that with some of the, you know, either you make 5 or 6 different coil options or let somebody else do it. You know, this whole 3, I mean, what you can only get 3 for the CTX, and from my understanding, they're only going to have 3 available for the Equinox, correct?
As far as I know, but the Coiltech will more than likely, you know, shoot some more options for it. Kind of like they did with the CTX and tons of stuff for the GPXs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they'll eventually make more, but
you still have no choice. I mean, really, you're with one manufacturer. Wait, so what are you up to? Tell us a good story.
A good story? I probably have some, but being that I was put on the spot like this, I'm kind of locked up right now, you know?
Sounds like you're watching some TV.
Yeah, you know, I think they got that thing jacked up. I don't think it ever goes off, to be honest with you.
That's
It
funny.
sounds like my wife. She don't ever turn the TV off.
Yeah,
I tried to explain to her. I said, even if it's an LED TV, it doesn't have an infinite life. You will kill a TV running it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Like, she don't have to be watching it, but the thing's always on, and man, that drives me bonkers.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, we're an ambient noise type family. We have to have some kind of noise in the house because it's so loud throughout the day. If it gets quiet, it just gets weird, you know.
Right. Does everybody just sit around and stare at each other when you lose electric?
No. They kill each other. Try to anyway.
How old are your kids, Brian?
14, 12, 8, and 7.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Seems
Man,
like
you got your hands full.
Yeah. They're fun, though. I'll take them all out, and I'll have all 4 of them out digging at a top lot or something. It's good times. Start to have a little game, see who finds the best find. You get a couple dollars or something, you know.
That's awesome. That's neat. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think coils will be coming aftermarket, but I think it's awesome that they release their detectors with so many options right off the bat. I like that, man.
Yeah.
You know, just like the Nell coil, the one that's so that everybody talks about. I think the Storm for the AT Pro. Man, I've heard people.
Or the Tornado.
Yeah, those two are real popular. I've heard people say it makes the AT Pro a whole different detector, but then I've also known people that sell that they get them and they're like, I don't like it. And I've heard several complaints, some different issues. One being that it's noisy. I've heard guys say it's too heavy. It hurts their arm and stuff. So I don't know, man. I kind of prefer coils from the manufacturer if they make them.
Well, I mean, the AT series, in my opinion, they're a little coil heavy machines. They're not well balanced, So
right.
If you throw a tornado on there, you're going to be even worse.
Right.
Or especially something like a storm.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, it sounds like
that's going to that makes a huge difference too.
Right. Yep. All right. So, we'll let you go. I'm sorry I called you up, but I wasn't quite sure what you were talking about. But I get you now.
Yeah. Just more options, man. From different manufacturers to kind of compete to make a better coil. Sometimes it works out in the long run.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes you can find a hell of a marriage between a coil and a machine, and it just pops off right. I know that people overseas, they got some strange looking coils they're putting on Makro over there. It almost look like a Spider-Man emblem shape.
Oh yeah, what is that? I've heard it.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've heard real good things about it. It
looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But they're over there. I don't think I've ever seen one in the U.S.
No, I'd never heard of it until I saw it in one of the Makro Nokta groups.
Yeah,
that thing looks cool, and I've heard good things about it too. I've seen some good posts. Yeah.
Yep, Matt.
All right, Brian.
Let me go, Matt.
We'll let you go back to
it. Let me make my escape, man. I'll start talking again.
We'll talk to you
brother,
later.
Y'all have a good one, man. I'm going to keep listening.
All right.
Later, bye.
We'll see you.
Later, brother.
Mike.
Later, brother.
We'll see you.
That's funny. There he is. He gone. He said, "Screw you guys."
I was thinking. Actually, I got a magazine in the back of my car. I wish I had it sitting with me right at the moment. But nevertheless, it's out of. I don't know if it's out of the UK or where that came from, but and in fact, I'm not even sure where he gets his magazines from. But anyhow, he gave me a copy of this. The gentleman gave me the copy of this magazine from I was at a metal detecting club meeting the other day. And I saw some stuff in there that's offered over in Europe that I've never seen before. There's some interesting coils, and there's definitely some different stuff that looks a lot different that I've definitely never saw. But Mike, I was thinking about it, and one thing that I want to talk, I really think we should dive into for a little bit, if nothing else.
Nope.
Is pinpointers. Yep.
Oh, I'd love to.
hey, I'm hijacking the show. We're talking pinpointers.
Do it. Let's do it.
No, I'm in all seriousness though. I've had a lot of different pinpointers. I've tried a lot of different pinpointers, and I'll tell you, without a pinpointer, I really have no fun metal detecting. It becomes such a chore and a hassle to go back to the old school days of waving it over the coil in your hand, and oh man, that's tedious work. And I'm always out looking for a pinpointer that, I don't know. To me, a pinpointer, you can get one. Let's say if I can get one for $100 to $150 in that range, I'd be willing to try it out. And if I don't like it, it can just sit in my collection of stuff, and I won't lose sleep over that. However, I want to say I've never found the 100% perfect pinpointer. However, I've got some stuff that I really like right now, and I'd be curious just what other people are using. Obviously the Garrett waterproof, the Garrett Carrot, the orange one, when that came out, that was wildly successful. And one that came out actually before that a lot of people probably never used was that it was the Makro or Nokta. I don't know whose name they had on it. Their waterproof pinpointer, and I think that was one of the first few waterproof ones that came out on the market. And I had bought one, and I really liked the pinpointer. I liked it. It came with a real nice case, a nice pouch. It has little, covers you can put over the end of the probe tip of the pointer to protect it while you're searching and stuff, and had a few different options. And I thought that was a really good pinpointer. And what I was looking for when I bought that, I was intrigued by the controls or the power set buttons being up on the top of the pinpointer. And I don't know, I'm after using it, the pinpointer worked great, and it was very hardcore. You could jam that thing down into the dirt, and it didn't false at all. I found it a little more tedious to keep reaching up to the top to turn on and off the pinpointer. And so, that led me to I ended up with a MindLab pinpointer, which I liked, but then it wasn't loud enough. It was hard to hear. And that was the original, I think, the 25. Then I had, and I've had a host of Garrett ones. So at that point, it led me back to the Garretts, which had been my favorite, just the original black one. But then I had problems with those false, and then I was wearing those out. And then I switched over to the new MindLab pinpointer, and minus some falsing when you got the sensitivity up too high when it's tipped sideways. Quickly become one of my favorite pinpointers now. And also there's the Fisher Pulse one. That, Mike, I would like to talk about. I don't know if many people have really used that, but that thing is awesome. Just not if you own a MindLab CTX or E-Track. It ain't going to do you no good, because it'll just because you can adjust frequencies on that so that you can tune out unwanted chatter and nonsense noise that it will put off, and just not with the MindLab detectors. That you can't switch the frequency to anything that'll stop all the racket from coming out of that thing. So, but yeah, I'd be really curious. And I know you had mentioned before that Bullseye TRX pointer, that you really like that. And
Yeah.
I know my buddy Mark's a big fan of that pinpointer as well. But the Fisher Pulse, well, there's Fisher and help me out. What is it? Technetics or?
Yeah, the Technetics. I'm not sure the name on that one though.
Okay, so Fisher, it's the same. It's the same pinpointer. Fisher's is red, and the other one is green. The design of that thing is, to me, is almost flawless. It's beautiful pinpointer. It works fantastic. I love that it doesn't run on a 9-volt battery. It'll run on double A's.
Oh, that's nice.
Let's be honest. Oh yeah, and so many times I've been out and my pinpointer dies, and I'm like, man, I don't have a spare 9-volt sitting around here, but I got piles of double A's and rechargeables and all kind. And so that's one thing that's really awesome about that pinpointer. And like I said, I found it to work really well. It doesn't false a lot. It's just, unfortunately, if you're using the multi frequency MindLab machines. Now, I can't speak for the Equinox. I don't know if it would affect that one or not. I'm assuming so, being that it does on the the E-Track and the 3030. So unfortunately, because of that, it now sits mostly in my house. Actually, I decided that's the one I'm going to send down to you, Mike, because I'm sure that's a better. Well, I like that one better than the Garrett, the orange one. Even though that's a good pinpointer, I think you'd really like this Fisher one. I'm going to send that one.
I got to tell this funny story. So Matt hooked me up with something, and I said, "Man, I'll build you a pair of headphones." And I don't know, how long did it take me to get them sent out to you? A couple months.
It's been quite a while.
Couple months, and I finally get around to it, and I made him I made him. He wanted one pair. If I remember, I was going to make you one pair or something. I ended up sending him 3 pairs. I made him up a set of waterproof for the Makro Cruiser. I made him up a regular set for the Makro Cruiser, and then I made him up another set. Anyhow, so it took me months. And when I was telling him what I was going to send him, Matt's like, "Oh man, that's awesome. Hey, I'm still using the original Garrett Pro Pointer, and I love it. I'm not complaining, but that's all I've got, and I'd almost like to retire it because it still works. I've had it for years, and Matt's like, man, I'll get that stuff sent out. Well, that's been like a month now, right? 3 weeks, and like,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, I'm excited. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I totally deserve this. I just totally deserve this. So, yeah,
No,
I kept.
well, I will say you do deserve it, but no, it's not intentional. Like I
My little fart in a skillet, buddy.
I went to see. Let me tell a quick story, and it'll be a real quick one. I went to see this therapist one time, and she said, or whatever she was, I don't even know what she was. Unfortunately, that didn't work well. I tried to pick the hottest one I could find, and yeah, it didn't work out good. But anyhow, she said to me, I think you need to be tested for ADD. And I said, oh no, that's proven fact. We don't need to test that. I mean, that would just be a waste of money. I can tell you, I have ADD. I'm
Right.
like 20 directions at one time at any given minute, So, no, I've been tossing this back. While I've been not sleeping at night, I've been thinking about this, and I've come to the final decision. I definitely need to send you that Fisher F-Pulse pinpointer because, I personally, in my personal opinion, I believe it's a better pinpointer than the Garrett Carrot. And B, it takes AA batteries, which is just amazing. And I think you'll like that a lot better. And because what'll happen is I won't end up I can't use it if I take out the any of the MindLab stuff. So that leaves me to any of the other machines. If I'm out there, I could take it. But if I take a MindLab as a backup, I have to have another pinpointer with me because it'll drive me nuts. So I might as well just send that down to you. You'll get a lot more use out of it than I will. I mean, it looks nice and cool sitting on my shelf, but that's not doing me any good. So, but yeah, you're gonna love that. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm always, I don't know. I think that's and I like you got the MI6 with the Deus and that one with the AT Pro or the AT Max now, and to me, I think a pinpointer's is a matter of every bit as important as having the right detector. The same with me for a pinpointer. That can make or break your especially when you're at a place and you don't have time to screw around and you got to dig quick and you got to find your targets quick. Having the right pinpointer on hand makes all the difference in the world. Because there are those places you get to. Sometimes it's a one-shot opportunity to get out there, and that's it. So, the less time you spend fooling around, with your pinpointer and trying to locate a target and listen to it false or do whatever it wants to do, to me that makes huge differences. Now, I will say that I gave the MindLab, what was it? The MindLab, I think they call it the Profine 35 now.
Yeah.
That's their latest pinpointer. So I gave that a shot, and I've been using that pretty much all year, most of the year at least. And I've been very happy with it. I will say I'm very happy with it. It does pinpoint specifically, will target iron, and will give you a different tone, which is nice. It seems to be pretty much spot on that. And I do have some problems with it falsing a little bit, when it's angled a certain direction, when it's in a horizontal plane, basically. Like if you flip a plug up and you're scanning over a plug as opposed to down in the hole, it likes to give you a little chatter here and there, or at least mine does. And I'm not sure why it does that, but it'll settle itself down if you crank down the sensitivity. But but all in all, it's fast to turn on, it's fast to turn off, it's fast to change settings if you need to, and it's not super overpowerful. That's was my, now unless I might have just a magical Garrett pinpointer, I don't know. That thing on full sensitivity is picking up stuff from like a mile away. So to me, it's a bit overkill, and then you got to crank down the sensitivity. But so I've been happy with the MindLab one. But Mike, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to pack that up in my car tonight. And I did find the blue camera that I was looking to send you. So I'm going to pack those things up, and I will ship those out tomorrow morning.
Whatever. Here's what I suspect will happen. You'll start to box them up. You'll see something shiny, and you'll go to pick that up and put it away because it needs put away. And then as you're walking to put it away, you'll see something else. You'll put that down. And you'll look at that, and you'll play with that, and then you'll be like, "What'd I do with my shiny thing?" And then you'll go looking for the shiny thing all night, and you'll forget all about it. It's cool, man. I understand you, and I get you, and I'm okay with it.
There's a good possibility that could happen. I won't leave that out as a possibility.
I got to tell a funny story. I was thinking about this today, like, I love you, man. Michelle... Gypsy, since joining me, like she'll run things by me and talk about it. She's really excited about it, and she's like, hey, I've got some people I think we could get on. I could bring on to the show. She's really excited, wants to be involved. She shares posts. Heck, she wrote the last show up like for me on Facebook, which was huge help, and she's just all there. And today I was thinking about this and laughing to myself. You remind me of Chris Farley. You come to the show drunk, you've got your clip-on tie, your shirt's undone, and you come walking in 2 minutes before.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You come walking into the show 2 minutes before we're ready to go on air. What's going on tonight? What are we talking about tonight? You crack me up, man. I love you. I do. I so get you though, and not really.
It's funny you say that because it's funny you say that because that's how I live my life in general. Like I just, I'm not a fan of schedules. I refuse to be late. So if we set a time for like a detecting trip or something, if I'm late, call the cops because something happened to me. I'm just like, I come and go and do as I please. And like, I just like to be free to like, I don't know. That's just how I've, I was never like that growing up and something changed. And, man, I'll tell you, it's the way to live life, man. It's great.
Right. I'm kind of the same way.
In some ways it's great. In other ways, it's bad.
I don't have the ADD like you. I think I get a little bit. It's not ADD, but I can get sidetracked a little bit. But man, there was one day you and I were talking, and to myself, I was laughing. Matt was like, "Look, I don't know if it was the day you were looking for your CTX 3030. I think it was." Like, he was in a panic looking for his CTX. And along the way, he ended up doing 22 other things because he found this and, well, I'm going to put this up. And then where'd I put that, that he just had? And it was like this hot mess. And he's running around. Somebody done stole his CTX out of his car. Or, oh, maybe I put it in the garage. And then he's in the garage and he's got to put tools away. And I'm just listening to him, and then we ended up getting off the phone. It took so long, and finally he texted me back later. He's like, it was hanging on the wall where I'm supposed to hang it every time. That's what a hot mess he was. He thought it was gone and lost because it so doesn't. He never puts it back where he actually means to. So, yeah, dude, you cracked me up.
Yeah, and the funny thing, the real funny thing with that though, Mike, is that I was actually given up on looking for it. I was just thinking like, it's gone. I don't know what I did with it. And I went to grab the Impact, and that's when I saw it hanging on the wall.
That is funny. Hey, back to pinpointers and stuff. I think I might be a little bit confused here. I thought the MindLab 35, what's it called? What's the 35?
The
Anyhow,
Profine 35.
yeah, the Profine. I thought that was the one that was cutting out your CTX. No.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Can I tell the story? Can I tell the story? So
yeah, go for it.
Matt, I'm fortunate enough that even if he's metal detecting, Matt'll take the call, and like it's really cool because I live through him sometimes. Like he's out hunting for silver and everything else, and we were on the phone. I know a handful of times, and he's like, "Man, I just dug this hole. I had a good signal and I lost it. I can't find it." And we were both really like, he's like, "I don't do this, I don't dig up signals and I lose them like this. It wasn't that iffy, and all this. I mean, it happens. Don't get me wrong. Everybody gets those ghost signals from time to time, but it was like every time he dug a hole, he would lose it. And then he was searching forever. Well, come to find out what happened, Matt. What was going on?
Well, so basically, I found out the hard way, and after really thinking about it, I'm like, wait a minute. Every time this was happening, I'd have Mike on the phone, and I would. So I only had one hand, so I'd lose the signal, and I'd be searching, couldn't find it. Well, if you pretty much if you set that pinpointer while it's on within a few feet of your detector, now this was true to the 3030 and the E-Track. I can't speak for any other detector. If it's turned on and it's sit within a few feet, certain targets, they'd just disappear. They don't exist anymore to the detector. And so I tested this on my buddy Mark the one day when we were out. I walked over close to him. I had it in my pocket. He goes, "Oh, come check out this signal." I turned it on, and he's going, I can't find it. Like, where's it at? He's like, "It was right here." I flipped it back off, and sure as you could possibly believe, full force, that signal's just banging right out of the detector. And yeah, so it took me a few times to understand and figure out what was going on. But what's really weird is if you're using the pinpointer, no problem, it'll pinpoint, find the stuff. But if you got that Profine 35 on, and once again, is it an anomaly with mine? I don't know, possibly, but I doubt it. If you run the coil back over there with that pinpointer on, certain targets, especially copper targets, they straight up disappear, and you will think you're losing your mind, or that you can't figure out what's going on. So that is one thing. Though I do love that pinpointer, that is one thing that I have noticed. And now, luckily, I was able to figure that out. I'm glad Mike calls me when he does, and just by chance that I happen to come across that. But oh yeah, it was blanking targets, and I'm going, Mike. He's going, "Well, it's got to be deeper." I'm like, "No, man, I'm telling you, it was right here. Like, it was there."
That's funny. Yeah, like
I don't know.
It was so bad that I was kind of suspecting you were like going crazy or something. Like it didn't make sense. But I wasn't there. I didn't see you had your pinpointer on and all that. But yeah, it was kind of pretty funny that what was going on. I don't mean to sound like a jerk, but yeah, because
that's good to know. But oh yeah, it was several times I had you on the phone that we went through this, and you're just laughing like, man, this guy's out of control. But
yeah.
So that the good thing about that is that and I was gonna shoot a comment over to MindLab and see if they would respond to that, if they had any complaints about something like that. Now, normally when I stand back up, I turn the pinpointer off anyhow, so it's not an issue. But when you got a phone in one ear and you're trying to multitask while you're detecting, I was just leaving it on while I was come back up and search for the signal again. And so yeah, I wouldn't say it should be a real problem for most people, but it's something to do I knock it down a few notches because of something like that? Sure, yeah, I'll definitely ding that pinpointer for that reason. But It's still one of my go-tos. Like I said, that Fisher F-Pulse would be my absolute go-to if it just worked, if it just agreed with the CTX. But I'm wondering, and here's what I'm wondering is, to me that's something that I think I haven't seen any videos really portraying that or showing that, but I think that people should be aware of that because, let's say you decide, maybe you go with the Equinox, or if Makro Nokta puts out a machine that's running multiple frequencies. Are you going to run into that same problem? I don't know, but I suspect probably so. So, for me, that's huge. Like that takes a pinpointer that I thought was amazing and really scales it to a point where I can't take it with me on a regular basis, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I don't know. I haven't used a lot of pinpointers.
Yeah, I'm real picky about my pinpointer for whatever reason.
Right.
That's that I can be feeling super confident in all my detecting skills, and then something like that with the pinpointer, it'll rattle me, man, and it'll throw me off, and it'll make my detecting day miserable and upset me that much that I'm just constantly looking for a different pinpointer. But like I said, I've been happy with some of the recent stuff, and everything seems all said and done. Do all three of those or all four of those pinpointers work well? Yes, absolutely they do. And I think most people would be very happy with any of them. But, there's just some little things that may, like I said, the more targets you can dig and recover, the better chance you have that you're going to find cool stuff. I mean, it's just facts. So, obviously, knowing your detector goes a long way too to finding good stuff. But so that's my take on pinpointers. And some people might be saying, "Wow, that's just totally not important. He's just nitpicking silly things." But I don't know. I personally, I love a pinpointer, and see, I would love to have the old Sunray probes on the E-Track or something like that. That would be fantastic. But once again, I don't have one of those, and so that's what it is.
Right. Greg's, I don't know if Greg's still in chat or listening, but I'd be real curious how he likes the Makro pinpointer and with the buttons on top. Because I know you and I were talking about, I think you mentioned it tonight too, that you really liked the pinpointer and it was tough, but you didn't like that the buttons were on top, which you initially thought you did.
Well,
you would like that.
Yeah, and that's just it. I bought that because I said, man, this is perfect. It's waterproof. I like the sleeve design on here so you can keep your pinpointer in good shape, not ruin the tip if you're digging in some really rocked out stuff. And I thought, man, these buttons up at the top, my fingers won't be bumping them all the time. And when I started using it, it worked great. It's fantastic. It seemed to be a very good pinpointer, but I found that, all said and done, I think I did like, I thought, well, I guess I did like the button on the side of the pinpointer better because it was just right in my hand at the grip. I could pop it on, pop it off real easily versus, grabbing it with my index finger and wrapping my thumb and middle finger around the pointer itself to turn it on. So, yeah, it was interesting. And that's just my personal preference. Other people may say, wow, this is the perfect spot to have the buttons so you don't bump them and whatnot. But, the other thing I did like was that the speaker was at the top. One thing that used to drive me nuts was I constantly get dirt like filling up in that speaker cavity on some of those pinpointers. And then it would, especially on the old MindLab pinpointer, it would really drown out the weak speaker that it had to start with, and it would make it very tedious to hear that thing. So so with that speaker port up at the top, that was beautiful, I think, in design, and that was really nice, and I really did enjoy that. So like I said, it was good all the way around. There is just it just wasn't right for me, but I don't know. To me, it seems like when I can just grab that out of my holster, pop it down there, get it in the hole, recover my target, flip the plug down, give it a tap or two, and move on. That's how I prefer to detect. I don't want to be down there digging around for more than a minute. I don't want to be digging around for more than like 20 seconds, unless it's a super deep one. It's going to take you some time to get down there. But, because once again, that's every time I'm spending that time doing that, I'm not detecting. And especially if you're with a buddy or you're at a place where you're with some other people and it's virgin ground, that's that much more space that you're not covering while somebody else is. So, yeah, to me, it's super important.
That's cool. You were also saying, I think with the macro pointer, weren't you saying that it takes a few seconds to turn on? There's a little more time involved turning it on and off.
The other, and it reminds me a lot of like, what was it? Something that Kelly Co had put out. I think it was the Vulcan 360, or there's another one that there's a slight delay. That extra maybe half a second to a second, maybe 2 seconds when turning it on and off. That I don't want to say that's a no-go for me, but that bothers me. Whereas like, the Garrett, you click the button, it's on, it's running, it's ready to go.
Yeah.
And the MyLab, you click it, it's on, it's ready to go. There's that extra little delay in that Vulcan 360. My buddy had one of those, and I did like the length of it. It was a nice, it was long, it was nice. I think it was way overpriced, but nevertheless, it was real slow to turn on and off, and that's a big one for me too. So if little things like that would drive you crazy, I would just avoid. Well, I wouldn't avoid the Makro for that reason, the Nokta one, because it's definitely faster than the Vulcan 360. But when they're slow to turn on, that's just I don't know. Little things like that can make or break, just a lot of time. It just seems like I'm just wasting time while it's doing its thing. And, especially if I don't pull out my pin pointer before I get down to the hole. If I pull it out of my pouch, turn it on, and then, go get down, do my thing, then it's not too big of a deal. But I don't like that delay. That delay, I think, is unnecessary, and I don't know why they've designed that to incorporate a delay in there. And there's it could just be balancing itself or whatever it's doing. I thought it's not balancing isn't the right word, but calibrating itself when it turns on. That may be in that circuitry where that delay's coming from. But yeah, I do like a much faster on-off presentation, especially like you don't have to because you had to hold in the button for so long to get it to turn off as like a second or two, and then in the same, so stuff like that. You don't see, you see a lot of metal detecting videos, but I very rarely see people. I'll see reviews on pinpointers here and there, but I don't ever see anybody running them up like 4 or 5 different. In fact, you know what? That's something I want to do. I want to make a quick video and put it out there on some of these different pinpointers, just showing some of the different, settings and turning them on and turning them off and how they react, how they sound, and volume levels. And because, I wish I could find more stuff on that more frequently, because to me, those are important things. Like I said, I find that just as important as having the right detector and so. But that's me. And then again, the Matthew Hoffman is not ever known to have been sane. He's a little crazy. So yeah, who knows?
Right.
Maybe that doesn't bother other people.
Hey, Greg made a really good point. And I wonder if it's getting used to it, because the day I borrowed somebody, I left my pinpointer at home, and the guy I was with, he had an extra pinpointer, and it was the TRX, and we had 2 of them. And he's like, "Here, man, just borrow this one." You know how you're right, man. I did it for years without a pinpointer, but once you have a good pinpointer, it's really hard to enjoy yourself going back to waving the dirt in front of the coil. So I borrowed it, and at first it drove me crazy how long it took to turn off, because you had to hold the button to turn it off. But once you get used to it, like, I can still be going through the motion holding the button while I'm putting it away, and I got to where I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable with this now. And like Craig's saying, he's gotten used to it and he likes it because he doesn't turn it on by accident. Well, if you grab it out of your pouch and your finger's on the on button and you hold it until you get it over to your hole, it takes you 3 seconds to get there anyhow. And I think you could get used to that delay.
I think a lot of people get used to it, and I'm sure that it won't become a problem or doesn't maintain to be a problem for most people because you will get used to it. I mean, it's like anything. But for me, when I switch pinpointers, there's certain things that I guess I just become used to, and the way I need it to operate for me, just makes me happy.
Yeah. Scott brought up a point, and then Brian brought up a point. Makro Nokta have a pinpointer coming out with a scuba attachment, and it's Bluetooth. And
I saw that.
Mm-hmm. And then Brian said, "I seen those, Scott. They look huge as a regular pinpointer, though. They do. I don't know if that would be something you get used to, but and Brian asked, wondering if they're pulse as well, and I'm real curious. I got a feeling that thing will get like, some crazy depth to have the scuba attachment. I would assume.
That thing looks pretty cool to me. I don't get out much for underwater, but that would be awesome. I'd like to have one of those.
Right. I'm really, that's why I'm so impressed with them as a company, man. They are innovative and pumping some stuff out, and I'm excited. But yeah, I don't know. I haven't used many pinpointers, but I think it's kind of weird you don't hear about a lot of pinpointers. Like I hear about the Garrett Carrot a ton. It seems like everybody has a Garrett Carrot, but
everybody and their brother has that.
Yeah, most of the other pinpointers I don't hear a lot about. Every now the TRX. Other than that, I gotta say I don't hear that much about pinpointers, and I wish I had them all and could do a review, but I just I don't have many. All I have is my old Garrett. Oh, Brian said Quest has one also. It's a Pulse. Pretty neat and works well in the Civil War huts in Northern Virginia. That's pretty cool. I didn't know they had a Pulse. Now, does that Fisher one, does that get real deep?
Yeah, it seemed to get down there quite a ways.
See, I don't know if I'd like that.
If you pick the sensitivity up, it seemed. But see,
I
was
it's
putting the
adjustable.
sensitivity in about mid-range. Oh yeah, and I seemed to really like it about mid-range. Was perfect for coin shooting and mostly for especially coin hunting. But when I was out digging some super deep stuff, I'd kick it up and it definitely nails it right onto it. It definitely, and it's quick to adjust for the most part. It has a lot of settings and a lot of things you can play with. Especially, like I said, I did like the frequency adjustment on there so that it doesn't interfere with your machine. Just not with the Mind Lab. It didn't work with those. It seems to work with the other stuff I used it with. I was just thinking about one more thing. If you have a hard time hearing a pinpointer, the vibration on that is really good, and the same with the Mind Lab one. The vibration is good, and it's nice and strong. But I will tell you that Mind Lab Profine 35, you're gonna almost have to put dirt in the speaker because that thing will blow your ears off. It was, I remember telling you, Mike, when I first got that, it was so loud, it was like embarrassing to use it. And I had to make sure I jammed enough mud up into the speaker to make it a little bit quieter, and it's been fine ever since. But holy moly. I'm going to say the thing might wake the dead. If you're hunting near a cemetery, you might wake the dead with that, with nothing jammed into the speaker.
No kidding. Yeah, Brian said hot glue. I like on my Pro Pointer, I just put electric tape over, and that electric tape has lasted years.
Yeah.
I'm not so hard on my equipment like Brian is. Brian's hard on his stuff, man. I like to have the original pinpointer. The people that dig with their pinpointers are the ones that were having all the trouble. Like, I don't dig with my pinpointer. I don't do that. I don't scrape at the dirt and stuff. Do you do that?
Yeah, I do that quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't do that.
I mean, I'm not saying I'm digging with it, but I'd definitely give it a scrape around the hole and get a little nasty down there with that pinpointer. So, yeah, I like to abuse them and put them through their paces, and and for the most part, they've all held up pretty well. I had some issues with the original Garrett, and getting some falsing here and there if you press a little too hard, but they seem to have made them some of the newer stuff that's been out. They seem to have made them a lot more robust. For people who are aggressive with their equipment, such as myself,
right.
And Brian, apparently. So, but I would love to see I'd love to see a head-to-head comparison up against, 4, 5, or 6 different pinpointers, shot in all in the same video. Not a lengthy video, but enough that you could really get a good feel for, is that the right pinpointer for you, or what do you think you like the best? Obviously everybody's different and everybody has their own opinions, and I don't encourage anybody to strictly listen to someone's opinion and take it as gospel, because, if you're doing that, then you're just not approaching it the right way.
Another thing, a couple things here. Greg said that the speaker's really loud on the Makro, and it has a scraping blade. I think all of them pretty much have a scraping blade. But another thing, the TRX, something else that I think is really appealing is you can put a new, you can buy a new, what is it? Like the housing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can buy new, and they've even got different colors and stuff. I'd like to get one pink for Steph.
I didn't know that.
For being a tomboy, she likes pink and purple, and yeah, like it's kind of weird because she's such a tomboy, but yeah, she'd love a pink pinpoint. And I like the TRX. I'm not using it pink though. I don't want to get made fun of and all that, but yeah, you can get new housings, new shells. You can get new shells for them. So I'd like to get her one with a pink shell.
You should take one and you should hydro dip it in like a real cool pink wrap, and then clear coat it up a bit, and she'd be good to go with like a real sweet pink colored pinpointer.
Right. Or just buy the shell. Come on.
Or just buy the shell. All right. Come on. I make things way more complicated than they need to be.
Right. Yeah. I don't need to be scraping paint off everywhere and stuff. Leaving a little trail of paint behind her.
I'm gonna hydro dip one of mine. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I might be interested.
It'll either be cooler, or I'll be like, yeah, we'll see, that didn't work as good as I thought.
You've been
no, it'll definitely. Oh yeah, I've been hydro dipping stuff lately, and let me tell you, when your nephew tells you, hey, hydro dip your hand real quick with that paint that you're using.
Yeah, not a good idea.
If you think it's going to be funny, no, not when you got to go to a calling hours, like 2 hours after that, and you can't get the damn paint off your hands after everything you've tried, including paint remover and paint thinner and everything else. No, it's a disaster. Don't do it.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Yeah,
I forgot to tell you that.
That's
one.
funny. No, you told me, but you didn't tell me you dipped your hand in. You told me You were like, man, I can't get this damn paint off my hand from. Yeah, no, you didn't tell me you dipped it. That's funny.
Funny. I left out the crucial part of the story of how I got all the paint on my hand.
Because I'd have been like, dumbass. Oh, that's funny, man. Well, we covered pinpointers, and you got anything else? What you got?
No, that was a topic that I've been really wanting to get off my head here lately because, like I said, it's near and dear to my heart for whatever reason with the pinpointers. But no, all in all, I'm excited. That Makro Nokta is really pumping out some equipment, and I don't think there's any reason people should be upset with that. I think they should be happy because ultimately it'll force. Yeah, it forces other manufacturers, especially in the U.S., to stay on it and to continually strive to put out better and new equipment. And I think that's a win for everybody, in the long run.
Yeah, I do too. But they're also pumping out good stuff you might want. But yeah, I think it's good all around. I do. I think it's good all around.
Yeah, I think it's a win for everybody because I'm a big fan of choice and selection, and I don't like to be, have to buy something because it's the only thing available. I like to have different options, and that I think because everybody's different. And like you said, you have a little bit of problem. You're left-handed. I'm left-handed. With that, where with your left hand where the pinpoint button is, so. Maybe some people might find that that's enough to make them not like that, or they say, "Oh, that's a great spot where that's at," or
right.
So there's all these little things play huge. To some people, maybe this stuff doesn't matter, but when maybe that's the engineer in me that when I see certain things, I'm like, nah, I would have made it this way, and so I don't know, but. My wife tells me I'm too picky on or hard on products when it comes to like reviewing them, though I don't hardly ever give anything a bad review because it's clearly better than anything I made,
right.
By any means. But she's like, well, you always seem to think you could have designed it better. And I said, well, yeah, I feel that on a lot of stuff, but and that's anywhere from lawnmowers to just about anything. But so I am a big fan of selection. Now that usually causes me to acquire a lot more stuff than I need, but yeah, I'm a fan of it.
Right. As you're sitting there talking, something I love about the impact that I'm not a big fan of on a multi-cruiser is the pinpoint button, like you mentioned. I'm left-handed, so I've got to twist my thumb to the left to hit the pinpoint button. And after doing that all day, it really starts to hurt. And the Impact has a trigger. I'm wondering if this new Amphibio has a trigger. I didn't look at that.
It doesn't. It has the pinpoint button in the same spot that the Cruiser does.
Oh.
Yep, I'm pretty positive of that. What I could see in the picture when I zoomed in, I'm pretty sure that pinpoint button's at the bottom left where it is on the Cruiser.
Okay, I haven't seen any new pictures. Is there a new picture out over it? I haven't seen anything since.
I had my buddy Mark sent me a flyer. I don't know where he found it, but he had sent me a flyer that talked about it, and it had some different pictures of it, and that's where I noticed that it seems to be in that same spot. I'll send that over to you.
Yeah, send that over to me. I'd like to see it. Yeah, Brian said he's not a fan of the Cruiser pinpointer. Yeah, it should be, if it's going to be on the screen, it needs to be in its own location by itself where, I miss it sometimes, or I overshoot it and hit another button or undershoot it, and I'd really like to see them rectify that and go back to a trigger. But you know what? On waterproof,
design,
they can't. Yeah, I just thought of that.
You'd have to come up with a trigger like the 3030 has, and I guarantee that's probably cost the cost to do that just doesn't make sense when, let's face it, us left-handers are outnumbered.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we
There's
are.
plenty of right-handers, and with a person with a right hand, if you're detecting with your right hand, that's no problem. It's in a perfect location. Your thumb wraps right around there, and it's right there. So yeah, you're good to go.
Yeah, and it's small. I worry about wearing gloves and having to use it. It's already in an awkward position for me, but
I could see that. I could see that being potentially an issue.
yeah, Brian said put it in the center. Now, don't only put it in the center, make it a bigger button, kind of a way, set it off from the other buttons. I agree, so I don't have to go left-hand. I'm left-handed, swing left-handed, and I got to go, like, all that motion in my finger after all day starts to wear my thumb out a little bit.
You're getting carpal tunnels, huh?
Yeah, if I
We're gonna have to get you into finger aerobics.
Yeah, if I got to hitch a ride and home or something, I'm gonna have to use my right thumb. Mm-hmm.
Mike, that's the funniest thing I've heard you say in a long time.
Right. And then it'll be all awkward, me showing my left thigh and using my right thumb, and be a mess. Be a mess. Yeah. What you say we call it a night, man? I am.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm beat. I'm tired. I was tired when I came home today. I haven't been sleeping well, like, at all, and just I was up till like 3 or 4 the last night, and just just watching YouTube videos and just trying to force myself to go to sleep. But I don't know. It's tough. It's tough living inside the brain of me sometimes.
Right. I slept like 2 hours Monday night. Randy was up all night, so I haven't even listened to. I keep thinking maybe I should listen to last night's show a little bit because I don't remember much of it. But I'm like, I don't like hearing my own voice. But I was better tonight. I'm just getting a little tired now, getting wore out, and let's call it a night. I think we touched on some good stuff. So I don't know. I'm ready. I'm ready to call it. I got a potty. I'm about ready to start doing the pee-pee dance. Doing the pee-pee dance and all that. Hey, when I finish up the show, I'm going to call you real quick to test something, okay? If you can.
Okay.
No,
that's fine.
Okay, I'll call you in a few minutes. So, all right, let's wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for tuning in, listening, and I hope everybody has a good night and good rest of the week.
We'll see you guys.
There you go.
The All Metal Mode podcast is sponsored by Digger's Den. If you are looking for a metal detector, get in touch with Mike or Brian. Together, they have years of experience with many different brands and models. They also truly enjoy what they do. You can contact them through Facebook at Digger's Den, visit the website at dddetectors.com, or give Mike a call. He makes it sound like it's so hard raising our boy, but trust me, he has time. 937-414-4578.